They ain't know what the data. They ain't know what the data.
What are you getting the support from the Black community in District 2 because of the illegal, migrant crisis?
Definitely more than I did so I'd never run for office before until the last election cycle. I was completely unknown, so I didn't get a lot of support, period. But I didn't let that deter me. I just kept going out into the community and letting people hear my message and understand that I was actively listening to learn about the people in my district. And now I have a lot more support because people, know who I am, and I had the opportunity to prove who I was, not just say this is what I want to do. So I have a lot more support this time.
From the Black community.
Correct.
Now, the Hispanic community, because when we're talking about immigrants, a lot of immigrants who came the right way, did it the right way, and they're citizens now, or they probably are permanent residents or have a green card. Are you seeing support from the Hispanic community? Because some of them lean towards, I don't have a problem with the illegal migrants because they're like me. But then you have some that's saying, wait a minute, you're coming here illegally and I did it the right way. So what is it? What is the support like on a Hispanic population in your district?
I would say 70-30, 70 on the positive, 30 on the not. Mostly because the area that I'm from, you have a lot of the Hispanic culture that did come here legally, or they have family that came here legally and they eventually became legal themselves and realized, the importance of doing the right thing. So, but to be honest, the negative that I get, and this is not just from the Hispanic, this is Hispanic and Black people, Black Americans, when I get pushback, it's usually the guise of, but how can you be a hypocrite? These are your people. If you're driving down the street, you look enough like them that someone could judge you for being the same thing that they are. And I say, that to me doesn't matter. I am an American. You are an American. My family's American. The border jumped me. I didn't jump the border. My family was in Texas and when the border got moved to the Rio, my family was already in Texas. So we chose to become Americans, and Americans we are because the border jumped us. So to me, this isn't a skin color issue. This is, you're either going to do it right or you're going to not issue. You're either come here legally or you don't. And if you came here illegally, I will be the first one to say I will mass deport you. I would sign that legislation gladly. DACA was abused. That was one of the reasons that a lot of Republicans were very much against the DACA laws, because it left space for things like this to happen. And then everybody's like, oh no, you're paranoid. This isn't going to happen. This is why laws are in place. Look, Trump built the wall. Didn't you guys want the wall? Well, yeah, but when you have a president who's swinging the doors wide open anyway, the wall wouldn't have mattered because they're coming in through the doors because the doors are open, except in Texas. Go Texas, go Abbott.
Right. Standing his ground.
But it's one of those things that you really just have to work through, and you have to have, courage and conviction to stand by your messaging, and just be aware that when you take on the responsibility to say, I want to take an oath to the Constitution to represent everyone, we have to actively be working to represent every American citizen. That is the oath that we take to American citizens.
Let me go back a little bit to policy, because just about all of the illegal migrants crossing the border, they are saying we are seeking asylum. However, in the United States, federal level, only 145,000 people are allowed to be approved for asylum annually. But we have over 3 million illegals saying, I'm here on asylum. So there are laws being broken. We kind of talked about that in the space yesterday, and Judge Joe Brown broke down, state and federal laws that are being broken and violated. So, when I asked the question, are we being replaced, right? And particularly Black Americans, you said yes. But white people are being replaced too. But can you explain to my audience here on YouTube, how are Black Americans being replaced, particularly in Illinois, and it could be nationwide, and how that's going to trickle down to white people or just Americans, period?
So what they did was they strategically took what are large cities with large bases of Black Americans. They created this sanctuary city idealism, and now they are mass transferring these illegals to those areas. So you're very quickly taking areas that were predominantly Black and forcing illegal immigrants into them, which is basically you're depleting the numbers. They'll even out to where there will be just as many illegals as there are Black, but eventually as they keep bringing them in, they will take over those spaces. So Black Americans will have two options. You either essentially try to find a way to coexist or force them out, or you leave. So a lot of people are going to be stuck in that position. But no matter what, the amount of illegals that are being transferred into these cities, eventually it will surpass the Black population. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They will keep bringing them in until illegal immigrants outnumber the Black population. Now they're starting there, but every American is vulnerable, because as soon as the population has surpassed the amount of Black Americans essentially in the Chicagoland area, now what they're trying to do is, and you can Google this, there's actually Brandon Johnson, the mayor, was specifically targeting a Collier County, saying we need to send the illegal immigrants to you. So now that they've got this surplus population of immigrants coming into Chicago, they're going to start busting them out, which is going to essentially take over the white, Hispanic, and miscellaneous other populations, because the illegal immigrants that are coming here, every color you can imagine, every ethnicity, every culture you can imagine, they're coming from everywhere. So it's not like they can just go find a niche and say, this is my people, I'm just going to integrate with them. No, these are people who are actively trying to take over the niches that are there, because they're coming with what they wanted to have anyway. They're bringing their cultures with them. So it will quickly start overtaking other areas that would be considered predominantly white, Hispanic, or other cultures as well. This is an invasion. This is not a migrancy issue. This is an invasion. And really Illinois and other Democratic states are promoting that with the policies that they've put in place.
Because it does directly benefit the Democrat Party. It does, because numbers. So if you have increased numbers in a district, right, that means you can increase representation. In the state of Illinois, for example, like you just broke it down, they're going to start giving them driver's license, which makes it easier, quicker pathway for them to vote. So they're going to vote for the people that let them come over here and giving them all these benefits. So this is to strategically, and they're not even hiding it, to make the Democrat Party more powerful in Congress and on a state level. So what should American citizens, all of us, what should we be doing to kind of push back? What we need to start doing?
Well, number one, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now I'm saying what we need to start doing besides complaining, because there's a lot of complaining, but people are not really doing anything.
Get to know your candidates, hold their feet to the fire, and make sure you vote for every possible position that is on the ballot. Don't just vote for president, vote for House reps, vote your locals, vote your school boards, vote for everything, because each of those positions, it makes a difference in your life. It may not seem like it, but that affects your taxes, your children's education, the freedom of our nation. And one thing that I want to make very clear is, do not let the Democratic Party fool you. Even if they said that every illegal who comes across the border right now won't ever be allowed to vote, they won't give them that right. They might be able to work, they might be able to drive, but we're never going to let them vote. Their kids will. And if 10 million of them come across and they never get to vote on a single ballot, if each of them has 2 kids, that's 20 million votes within the next 20 years. That will be. And they will have no dedication. They have no oath to our Constitution. They have no ties to us. Their ties are to their parents and to the person who let them come here, which is Joe Biden, the Democrat. So this is a long game situation. Yeah. They're not playing the short checkers game. They are playing chess, and they're trying to play to win, to our detriment as American citizens.
I want to share your website. I do have it here. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Um, so and then I pinned Ashley Ramos' website in the chat. I'm going to put it in the description as well. And I do want people to go to her website and donate. If you do not live in Illinois, if you do not live in her district, support and donate. You could support by donating. But if you do live in District 2, vote for Ashley Ramos. Policy positions, because I want you to tell the people what are your plans when you are elected. Um, and what policies do you stand for? Yes, you do stand for pro-life. That's great. I am pro-choice, but you know, I don't get too much into that. Too much.
You know what that means, though? Because there's really only two things. You're either choosing life or you're choosing death, right? Because either someone's going to exist from the situation or not. So if you say you're pro-choice, that means that you're giving someone the option to choose a better life. So that's okay.
Okay. Um, and then too, pro-life is not just giving birth, but it's up until that person is 18 as well. Helping, making sure that kids are being brought up in a healthy house and a healthy community.
Yes.
Also, you're pro liberty, pro limited government. I am too. Pro Second Amendment, pro free markets, pro school choice, pro strong border security, pro voter ID and election integrity. Yep. Pro medical freedom, pro deregulation, pro term limits, pro security, pro law enforcement, pro veteran, and environment. So, I mean, you could anything you want to talk about to these to your policies and what you stand for here.
I would say the two right now that are the most important to universally across the board for every American is I am pro strong borders. That right now, if we don't have pro strong borders, it won't matter because the United States that we know won't exist within the next 20 years.
Yeah.
So until we get a handle on the border and we do some mass deportation, make sure that we get all of the terrorists, the criminals, all the people who chose to come here the wrong way out so that we can fix things for the people who rightly deserve the benefits and the fruits of the labor of this country. That needs to come first. And then the pro-limited government, because we as legislators on a federal level we have to take an oath to the Constitution that we will only do things to the betterment of the citizens that we represent. And right now we're not doing that. We have too much control and we need to start being willing to give that back to the people so that there is more state option to make choices, because the federal government was never supposed to have that sort of hold over you in the first place. So limiting how government can try to control your life and making sure that you have a good life to live in the country that you pay taxes to, that you work hard for, and that you deserve the fruits of your labor for are hands down to me the most important two things that we need to fix immediately.
Right. And running for office, listen, it's hard. It can get dirty. you know, it's as far as people using, certain dirty tactics so that they can make sure that they win. Speaking to your opponent, what is it, Representative Robin Kelly? Would you say she is more so bought and paid for politician for the Democrats? Because I see you have here, sold us out. Like, what has she done anything, or is she just a filler for Jesse Jackson Jr.? Do you see people in District 2 turning against her because of the illegal migrant crisis, other policies that politicians sometimes tend to ignore from their constituents?
In the kindest way that I can say it, I think that Robin Kelly has done an excellent job of towing her party line. I don't like the job that she's done, but Democrats in seats of power like the job that she's done. She has advocated for legislation that I don't believe was in the best interests of the people, but that her party would say was in good interest. The only legislation that I can honestly think of right now that I approve of that she's been a part of is helping bring more acknowledgement to the needs, maternity needs of Black Americans. So we do have an uptick in Black American women who are having issues during their maternity, gestation, and giving birth. So that I will give Robin Kelly for. She has advocated for that. But outside of that one piece of legislation, I can't honestly think of something that I can really commend her for.
Just real quick, because even with that, right, and I get it, that's very important, when we talk about maternal health for women, particularly Black women. But now, Black women are going to have to share those resources with the illegals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you advocated that for Black women, which is a majority of your constituents in your district, even Hispanic women. But now that has to be shared with people who have not paid taxes and came here illegally. So, and I think we have to keep that in mind.
Dana with the data. Dana with the data.